To see Argosy from the outside is to see a lonely, rocky island in the midst of an icy plain, its confusing mishmash of architectural styles sealed against the frigid environment. There are domes and parapets, spiraling towers and archways, each of these representative of a different faith, each of them vying for control. On a frozen world, Argosy is a simmering hotbed of conflict. Hello, welcome back. It's Gone Solo Starforged. I am your host and storyteller, Royce Rosewood. In our last episode, Zakia Vian returned to Argosy, having towed the wreck. She found that it had actually been downed by her organization, the Church of the Closed Circuit, when she confronted her counterpart, Azriel, another cleric at the church here. She was initiated into a secret order within the church called the Obsidian Confederacy that seeks to protect the church against other factions within it that are trying to start a war amongst the other faiths. She continued her investigation for the crown of Empyrean that led her to some criminals who gave her a tip that another church in Argosy was looking to secure the relic as leverage in the simmering conflict among the faiths. I realized after we were done last episode, I needed to take a step back and think about a little bit more about this world. We were going to be entering this conflict. We were going to be investigating other faiths, and I needed more information about that. And Starforged, for all its great oracles, was not really set up to help me do this. So I came up with some other faiths. These are sort of based on the model that we had already established, right? We have the Church of the Closed Circuit that worships Empyrean, the god of electronics and repair. So I wanted to come up with 3 other groups that have a presence here on Argosy based on what I imagined would be the domains of other deities in this science fiction setting. So, to that end, we have the Bond of Eidolon, Eidolon being the name of the faster-than-light drives that we have in the setting, who worships Stramara, the goddess of starfarers and navigation. This is primarily concerned with shipping, traveling, exploration. We have the Communion of the Omnivoice, who worships Telectrix, the deity of communication and commerce. So these are the ones who manage the information networks, who manage business and finance. And then we have the Abyssal Cult, who worships Malkorek, god of the Black Void. I imagine these to be, cultists who are only concerned with the space between things. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, and obviously within the church, right, we have the Obsidian Confederacy, and then there are other heresies going on within the church. So there are obviously other groups, and I think there are also maybe even smaller churches, but this is where we'll start as we continue our investigation. Great. So having received her information from Valkyrie, Zakia needs to follow up, see if she can get a lead on which of these churches might be trying to secure the crown of Empyrean. We need to gather information. So I imagine with all these different groups, there's probably spying on each other. So there might be some sort of spy within the Church of the Closed Circuit that she might be able to talk to and get information from. So she's going to go do that. So we're going to gather information. That's plus wits. Let's see how we do. All right, that's 2 plus 3 is 5. Weak hit against a 9 and a 2. On a weak hit, the information provides new insight, but also complicates your quest. Envision what you discover, then take +1 momentum. Well, great. That puts our momentum at 8. So what do we learn? Let's roll on our action theme oracle. 93. Surrender. 47. Humanity. Which church does this relate to? We'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3. Communion of the Omnivoice, surrendering their humanity. And what's the name of our spy? 48. Kaisa. Zakia goes to the church, pulls her weight and rank as a cleric to get information from the spies or the people who are listening and the people who know what's going on. And she finds another acolyte named Kaisa, who's able to fill her in about the latest news of what's going on. And she says, well, I haven't heard anything about that, any sort of artifact deals going on, but there has been some concerning movements within the communion of the Omnivoice. I hear that they are making cybernetic advancements in their communication networks and, replacing their brains with artificial brains. There's something that sort of rings a bell in Zakia's mind about the research that she's done with the crown, how you put it on your head and it's able to give you these visions. Oh, this there might be something going on there, especially if there's been this new and recent progress. So she goes and decides that's a lead. So she's going to stake out the communion of the Omnivoice to see if she can see anything, find anything, see anything that's suspicious, get any information before she, does a thorough investigation. So we'll call this secure an advantage. And she's trying to be stealthy, which is not great for her. She has to roll plus shadow. She only has 1. But, we'll secure an advantage, staking out the communion of the Omnivoice. 6 plus 1 is a 7. That's a strong hit against matched 6s. That's about as good as it could go. So I get +2 momentum and I get +1 on my next move. So I'm at max momentum, which basically gets a strong hit whenever I want. And it's matched to something really interesting. I'm going to roll in our action theme oracles just for inspiration. What's going on? 46. Finish. 31. Enemy. As she's staking out, there actually happens to be, they're putting on like this big press conference, right? And it, pops up on everyone's little screens and devices, and it pops up on all the screens around not only the communion building, but also, everywhere on Argosy and, all across the net, across the whole galaxy. One of the priests of the communion of the Omnivoice comes on and says, "Our progress continues. The communion of the Omnivoice is pleased to announce the full and total acquisition of one of the minor churches, the Chapel of the Closed Fist. The communion continues to expand and bring you the best and fastest communication available in the galaxy. With this acquisition, we hope to move even faster than the speed of light." I'm imagining it's sort of like a telecommunications company church kind of mishmash. But because of where Zakia is sitting, and will be the strong hit, she's able to see where this is actually being filmed and projected. She sees the priest come out. Does she actually see the crown? I mean, is it too soon for that? Let's see. Let's ask the oracle. That seems unlikely. 25 or less. Does she actually see the crown in their possession? 61. No. So there's something else. There's something about the headpiece that the priest is wearing that's reminiscent of what she had seen of the crown. It's like they maybe are modeling this new design for this new head attachment on the crown. and there's like markings or the specific way that it's arranged where she's like, oh, like if they don't have the crown, like they've got very, very good information about it because they're like imitating, this thing, but it's only because of where she's sitting, kind of on the back. She can see kind of behind. At this point, what she needs to do is like get access to like files. I feel like that's going to be really hard because if they're sort of the communication people, I assume they would have like the highest security. So she needs to like hack in to the servers of the communion of the Omnivoice. And she's going to need help with that. She's going to go back to Valkyrie and see if Valkyrie can help her. So Valkyrie's there in the shop, just looking cool. And who's the other guy? Overload. And Valkyrie says, oh, back so soon. Fascinating, cleric. What have you learned? And Zakia says, I need to hack into the servers of the communion of the Omnivoice. Can you help me? And Valkyrie says, woof. That's a pretty big ask. That's not something that just anyone can do. Can she help? It seems likely she might be able to help with that. 52. Sure, I can help you. And Valkyrie takes her into the back, and there's an area where there's like this, hidden behind maybe like a secret panel. She pulls something off the shelf and it slides out, and they go into this back area, and there's a chair, with a helmet where you can, access the net in sort of a more direct way. I just had this idea. I think this would be fun. We're gonna try to hack into the server, but we're gonna run it as a combat. So it's as if she's like going into this virtual space, and she has to defeat like this firewall or this virtual guardian. But it'll have to be. It's all plus wits. We won't use iron, and we won't use edge, and Scorpio won't be able to help, right? Because it's this. But we're just gonna run it with the mechanics of a combat, just for fun. Because I think that would be cool. Zakia puts on the helmet, and Valkyrie says, sweet dreams. And Zakia, in her mind, is flowing through this, circuitry and, there's lights everywhere spinning around. And with her gloves, right, she's going to be able to connect in and have like an even deeper connection. Well, maybe we'll use that to gain ground later in the comic, because that'll trigger our devotant. Okay, maybe with her obsidian brooch, with the encryption key, she's able to get like a backdoor into something. Some spy at some time was able to set up this backdoor if needed into the communion of the Omnivoice servers. So we are going to enter the fray, so to speak. 2 + 3 is 5, is a weak hit against a 9 and a 3. We are in control. Based on this hack and this encryption key, she's able to get in, but she comes up against, and in her mind's eye, it's like this. Let's say it's like a phoenix or whatever, sort of made of red and yellow lights. We're going to gain ground. We're going to sort of, virtually set like some barriers around the phoenix to try to contain it. And we're connected in with our gloves, so we're going to ask Empyrean. All right, Empyrean, help us in this fight, in this hack. Use your powers through the circuitry to assist us. Plus wits, gain ground. All right, so that's 5 + 3 is 8. Strong hit against a 6 and a 2. We stay in control. We choose 2. We can mark progress or add +1 in it. We're already at max momentum, so we don't need any more momentum. So we'll go ahead and mark progress. And we get +1 spirit. Okay. As we set up this barrier, we feel Empyrean with us, and we're feeling emboldened and inspirited. And the Phoenix has not noticed us yet. As we set up these little charges, almost like little mines around, and the Phoenix is looking the other way. And so now we are ready to strike. So we get +1 from the gain ground. We've got max momentum. We should be good. Rolling plus wits, because that's what we're doing. All right. 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus an extra one from the gain ground is a 9. It's a strong hit against a 7 and an 8. Strike, you are in control. You mark progress twice. You dominate your foe and stay in control. All right. So that's 4 boxes, which is at 6. So we say, hey, birdie, in the virtual context. The bird turns around. We set up the charges. It's like immediately consumed, and the phoenix is like, all right, while it's distracted, we take our, virtual sword, and we're just going to leap and jump at the phoenix and try to stab it. We're going to strike. We're just going to, take this advantage while we've got it. All right, that's 6 plus 3 is 9. Strong hit against an 8 and a 5. Ooh, we are just crushing this. That's full progress. All right, we're going to take decisive action. Yeah, 9 and an 8 versus a 10. As we leap, we stab our virtual sword through the phoenix, and it dissipates. We feel everything sort of fade away, and we gain access that sort of manifests visually as this, doorway. And we're able to get into the server. Great. Oh, that was really fun and cool. So while we're in here, with access to the server, we're going to gather information. Again, plus wits. That's 1 plus 3 is a miss against a 10 and a 4. Ooh, so we can either burn momentum to change that to a weak hit, or your investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth. What's more interesting? I'll go ahead and burn the momentum to move us up to a weak hit. So that'll take us down to 2, and then we get plus 1 from the weak hit. So that's 3. She logs in, and she's able to, search through the files, search through the servers, and visually this sort of manifests as her, rifling through all these virtual filing cabinets. As she gets through, let's see, new insight, but also complicates your quest. I think what she discovers is, while the communion of the Omnivoice is interested and aware that the crown of Empyrean has surfaced, they don't have it. They haven't been able to access it or retrieve it. They're maybe inspired by it, and through their own investigations and their own research, able to mimic some of its properties with that headpiece, but they don't have it. A false lead, so to speak. So we will count that as progress because we got more information, but not the communion of the Omnivoice. Let's put a little X there. Anything else here? Any information that you didn't know? She's also, trying to discover the true nature of Empyrean. Does she find any extra information while she's in here? I'm going to call that unlikely. 58. No. She logs out. She takes off the helmet, and Valkyrie's there. So she's like, did you find anything good? Zakia says, no, they don't have it. It's not them. The thing that I thought I saw, false lead. We'll call that progress with Valkyrie. She's helping us out. As Zakia prepares to leave, Valkyrie stops her and said, so, you put in a good word for us yet, like you said you would? Zakia says, no, I haven't, but I will. And she's like, you better. I've helped you out twice now. Feel like you owe me one. Zakia goes to do that in the midst of this investigation. She wants to keep her promise. So she goes back to Azrael, sort of update her on the investigation, the successful hack of the communion of the Omnivoice, but they don't have it. It must be somebody else. Azrael nods and says, okay. And then Zakia says, but I sort of made a deal. There's somebody who, wants to becoming an acolyte and initiate, and I said I'd put in a good word for her. It's Valkyrie. I know she's a criminal. I know she's tried before, but I feel like you just hear her out. I feel like her heart is in the right place. All right, so we're going to try to compel. So that's plus heart. See if Azrael helps us out. 3 plus 2 is 5. Weak hit against a 5 and a 1. They'll do what you want or agree to conditions. Plus 1 momentum. But their agreement comes with a demand or complication. Azrael says, okay, sure. We'll handle it this way. I'll let her sign up, become an acolyte. She has been trying several times. And I've turned her away. If anything goes wrong, we'll just put it on you instead. Sound good? Zakia says, fine, sure, whatever. While Zakia trusts Valkyrie, I, as the author of the narrative, don't quite trust her fully. So we'll see if that creates any complications for Zakia. All right, well, I guess she's back to gathering information. I think as part of their service and ministry, the church, sets up little workshops where people can bring stuff in to get repaired. And so Zakia is going to volunteer to run one of these, but she's also going to be like keeping an ear out for, any rumors, anything that she hears that might be relevant to her investigation. So, rolling plus wits. 5 plus 3 is 8. Strong hit against a 2 and a 1. You discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you learn. Then take plus 2 momentum. All right, that puts us up to 6. Something helpful and specific. Which remaining church is it about? We'll call it 1, 2, 3 Eidolon. 4, 5, 6 Abyssal Cult. 4, 5, 6 Abyssal Cult. Okay. And what does she learn? Action theme. 55, impress. 56, memory. As she's listening, hearing people talk, people start to say things like, oh, right. Do you remember when, yes, we all converted to the worship of Malcorek? Yes, I do remember doing that. Yes, that was great. I'm looking forward to staring into the black void, and people are talking about this as, oh, don't you remember? Yes, I remember. Right. And then, and people start just, moving and gathering. And it's like, yes, we must prepare for Malcorek, prepare to stare into the black void. It's as if, people's memories are changing. Something's working on their minds. Zakia, for whatever reason, she's not being affected by this. I think while this is happening, we're going to call on Empyrean for guidance. So we're going to secure an advantage to see what's going on. That's plus wits. That's 5 plus 3 is 8. That is a miss against matched 10s, which is the worst possible outcome. So what happens is, as people are talking, Zakia remembers too. She remembers, oh, right. Yesterday, I did disavow Empyrean. Or I thought I went to go see Valkyrie, and I hacked into the servers of the community of the Omnivoice, but that couldn't have happened. There's no way that could have happened. That's impossible. No, that's right. I disavowed Empyrean and I pledged myself to Malcorek. That's right. I remember that. We do have to prepare to throw ourselves to the abyss. I remember we do have to go see Malcorek and stare into the void. All right, and we will stop it there on a cliffhanger. Thank you so much for sticking around. Man, you rolled matched 10s with that's bad news. So just a quick note for those of you who are following on live, as these are releasing week to week, I am going to take a little bit of a break and focus on some other projects, but I will be back. We cannot leave Zakia like this. We have to come back and figure out what happens. Thank you so much for following along. Please like, subscribe, and share. This is Science Fantasy Awesome, and you are awesome.